For Mark's Group Broadcasting, this is Emily Boyles. 2008 meant that good people across the country lost retirement accounts, jobs, and sometimes generations of stability and established lives by no fault of their own. Many have discovered new life and new economic hope in the Mondak region, so they migrated to the area. Wandering through Sidney, Montana recently on a resale shop's bulletin board, I noticed a flyer that said, "Need someone to talk to? Bakkenoilfieldchaplain Ministries." I called the number 406-433-4004 extension 1 and asked the man who answered what church the ministry was affiliated with and what the ministry was all about. Fellowship Church Pastor Jordan Stewart invited me to meet with him at Sidney, Montana's church on the edge of town. Pulling into the traditional white wooden structure across from the fairgrounds, the building looks like any other church building anywhere else in small town USA. A graveled parking lot, a few vehicles of mixed ages in front, and some more commercial vehicles in the back. Entering the front door seemed no different than the hundreds of churches I visited in my travels, a clean and neat foyer and traditional sanctuary. What makes this building, as plain as the paper flyer I'd spotted earlier in the day, different is the humble compassion that exudes from Pastor Stewart. Just ahead of me entered a man in a van carrying a tired little girl who didn't look like she was feeling well. The man was greeted by the pastor and said he had a new job. He and his family had found someone to stay with until he got his first check, but he was worried that he wouldn't have enough gas to make it back and forth to work until then. Pastor Stewart arranged to meet with him when he anticipated he would need the gas and offered other help for his family. As the pastor and I spoke, the soft-spoken pastor described the Mondak immigrants. He shared about a family of 5, a mom, a dad, and 3 teen girls who were all together living in a geo metro. They stayed in the church for a few days. The ministry helped find them affordable housing and jobs, and now, months later, the family is on the way to economic recovery and spiritual recovery as well. Pastor Stewart says that when he arrived at Fellowship Church 5 years ago, the church had about 20 attendees. Now they average 150, and they've started satellite churches in Williston and Watford City. As they quietly reach individuals, encourage them, and offer a ministry of helps, their spirits are reached as well. Pastor Stewart says that rather than giving to secular programs that help people, he believes helping people is the charge of the church, in addition to preaching the forgiveness of sins. The ministry also has a compassion for the emotional needs of those coming into the community. Bakkenoilfieldchaplain workers are trained with certified training to assist anyone thinking about ending their life, fighting to stay sober, dealing with domestic issues, personal problems, or just needing to talk. Pastor Stewart is very compassionate towards those coming into the area, but he does have some harsh biblically based criticism for those who have sharply inflated the cost of living in the area beyond the pace of local wages. His ministry spends quite a bit of time finding families a place to live, and he wishes more affordable family housing would be built. Many of the people the ministry is serving are family men who have come out of necessity to put food on the table, but the cost of living means they can't bring their families. The pastor notes that there are similarities to situations faced by those on military duty, such as long distances and long periods of time away from family, spouses, and children, and the dangers of oilfield work can create some emotional crisis, particularly when a worker loses his life in an industrial accident. It struck me that I'd never seen a fundraiser for this ministry. The ministry functions without a dime of government or community money. The Bakkenoilfieldchaplain Ministry is a multi-church effort. It was started out of the Fellowship Church. It's a Baptist church in Sidney, and it's reaching out to help boost those people back on their own. The ministry is there for those staying in their cars or fifth-wheelers to get a shower, help reunite families, and provide support when co-workers die in industrial accidents, and they do it cooperatively with local law enforcement and other ministries such as the Salvation Army. They provide training to pastors and community members who would like to join in the effort, and they even now have a mobile shower unit that they're able to take out to their more remote locations where people are camping while they're working. Pastor Jordan Stewart spoke to me about their mission.
The Bakken Oilfield Chaplaincy basically allows individuals who are members of churches to be in the oil field kind of as a handout to the community. And so if someone is struggling with depression, if they're struggling with thoughts of suicide. Our guys are trained in applied suicide interventionist skills training. If they are struggling with an addiction of some sort, then we're trained in substance abuse addiction referral, so we can get them into our local resources so that they can help get a handle on those addictions while they're here working in the oil field. And basically the thought is that if there's something tragic that happens to a member of the oil field community, there's not always chaplain resources that are available for them, like what we see in other areas. For example, a lot of police departments have a police chaplain, so if someone dies, then someone can notify the next of kin, can be there to help do what's called quote-unquote train the brain, so that they don't then later have to struggle with post-traumatic stress. But in the oil field, it's an incredibly dangerous profession. There are people that die regularly in car accidents all over our highways and accidents on the rigs. Who does that company have to call? And a lot of the larger companies, say ConocoPhillips for example, they can reach out to their internal human resources department and get a lot of those needs met, but a lot of the smaller companies don't have anyone. And so you can pick up the phone when you don't know who else to call, whether it's something like notifying next of kin or coming to talk to the crew that's left if there's a death, or say someone has a domestic violence incident with their wife and they need someone to intervene into a domestic situation. Who do they call? They can call the Bakken Oilfield Chaplaincy, and we'll send someone out who's trained to handle whatever it is specifically that they're dealing with. That's kind of the benefit of the chaplaincy.
And it doesn't have to be a company. It can be an individual who maybe they've got thoughts of suicide, they're a long ways from their family, those kinds of things. Do you help with those things as well?
Yeah. Not just a company, but anyone here, even if they just showed up yesterday and they don't have a job yet. One of the things that we can do is resource referral. And so, and by the way, say in Sidney, for example, in our town, there's no visitor center, so to speak. So when someone comes in, they need to know, how can I get on my mental health meds, and at the same time, how can I get signed up for WIC or food stamps, and what about subsidized housing, or where are the AA and the NA groups so that I can stay sober. They can call the chaplaincy, and because we're local people, we're going to know those resources and how to find those resources and pick it up with them.
And if someone is in need of services and would like to find out where those resources are, or they need to talk to someone because they are a long ways away from their family, what phone number should they call?
Right, they should call 406-433-4004, and then it's extension 1.
And what hours is that available?
24 hours a day. You can reach someone at that number. The important thing the community can do is refer people to us. Because we're a church and several churches are involved in this effort, not just our own, we hate always having a handout to the community. So we made the decision several years ago, no matter what ministry we do, we're not going to ask the community for a single dime ever under any circumstances. And that goes for the chaplaincy as well. And so if the community wants to help, we don't need money. We're already supported by people within our churches. We need people in the community to refer those that need help here. So instead of shrugging your shoulders and saying, I don't know what to tell you, just give them the number and let them call us so that we can help minister to them.
And that number again?
406-433-4004, extension 1.
If your congregation would like to participate in the Bakken Oilfield Chaplain Ministry, find their training website at oilfieldchaplains.com. And if you need assistance or even just need someone to talk to, 406-433-4004, extension 1. That's the number to call. And if you're looking for a compassionate church in Sidney, Williston, or Watford City, visit fbcsydney.com. If you have a hot news story or a news tip you'd like to share with us, you can email us at newsdesk@kxgn.com. For Mark's Group Broadcasting, this is Emily Boyle.